schedule today.
We do. Nope. Now it's 4:11. He's officially late. Gonna have some kind of penalty for tardiness.
Agree. He could barely figure out YouTube. That my fault. I was on a meeting, so I don't take any blame for that.
Oh, here. Hey, thanks for letting me play along.
We were just making fun of you because we were like, man, he can barely figure out YouTube now. Like I feel like I'm talking to my grandparents or something. Like,
I know.
No, Johnny, you don't do that.
I'm getting old.
Andrew late,
boys. How we doing?
Andrew late, buddy boy.
Yeah. How late am I? It says 4:10 on my clock.
Oh, you were 1 minute late.
You're a minute late. But hey, Friday. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
All right.
Cheers.
What's in the mystery mug of fun there?
Smith just asked me that. That's top secret information. You're only allowed to know if you're in my room.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll play along with that.
I'm going to 2 off the first. Well, north here.
2 off the first.
Yum.
Very nice. Awesome. So this is great. We pulled this thing together. We're on episode 5 now, huh?
I just looked it up, and we are the #1 golf marshalling podcast in the world. Did you know that?
Get out of here.
Yes, we are the #1. We're #1. Like, it doesn't get any bigger than us. If you're a marshal, for all our worldwide listeners, if you're a marshal,
I think some of the listeners are probably wondering how many marshal podcasts are there in the world.
Well, I had to do a lot of research to find.
Yeah,
there's none.
There's got to be several that maybe aren't showing up on the grid yet.
I like to think of we're a little bit niche, right? Which means that tends to mean more high end, right? So kind of
and it might depend on like what you're searching for, because maybe is marshal is that the term worldwide? Like, do we know in Newfoundland, where everything is 30 minutes behind, are the guys that and the ladies that protect the hole, are they known as marshals there, or are they known as like fishermen?
Well, if you remember from one of our earlier episodes, we discovered that the marshals are called gallery guards. So I didn't.
So it might depend on what you're searching for.
I didn't search gallery guard podcasts. So,
but we're better than the gallery guard at the Masters.
Yes,
I'll drink to that.
All right,
exactly.
Very good. What do we got going on here, Smith? What are we wearing? Got the Michigan.
Oh man, it's a nice little jacket. Picked it up. Yeah. A little side note: up in Ann Arbor yesterday, got the lease signed off on. Ellie did, so we're officially locked and loaded for campus for the fall. So
we've been following along with that on the podcast.
Yes,
slumlord that ditched you. She passed her interviews, this, that, and the other. You finally got it done, Smith.
Been quite the journey. Now the only bad thing is they can't get into the house until 3 days after school starts. So we got to work on that now. We're working on that. Yeah. Anyway, it's been a little bit of an epic
details.
So, yeah. How about you guys? How was your week?
Up and down week. That's all I can say.
Up and down.
Just leave it at that. Up and down week, and I'm glad it's Friday, and I'm glad to be here hanging out with you guys, celebrating the start of the weekend, along with our listeners from around this great country of ours, and of course the provinces of Canada. I always have to give a shout out to them, and around the world.
Guys, I started a golf league. I didn't start the golf league, but I joined a golf league. And
where at?
It's at Lake Michigan Hills. And as you guys have golfed with me, you know how I've got a little work to do on my game, we'll just say. So I got on YouTube. This is no joke. I got on YouTube and I'm like, I got to YouTube my way to victory here. And so I'm checking it out. I'm like working on my swing, on YouTube. I'm like watching all the videos and I'm like, everywhere I walk around, I'm trying to like practice the form. I'm doing everything and I'm telling everybody about this. I'm like, I got it. Like I figured it out, like I figured out what I was doing wrong, just by walking around, and I'd swing the club every once in a while. I went to the driving range and I hit a couple that were good. I get out to the course and I'm like, guys, we're going to dominate today. First drive, slice way off to the left. It's like nothing
Ooh.
changed from last year. So
Wow. And yeah, for the viewers, way off to the left for the majority would be a hook, but
yeah,
Aaron is left-handed. So
Southpaw.
that's a
yeah.
slice.
So you can't learn golf on YouTube. What I learned.
Yeah, good takeaway. But you can learn about marshalling.
Yeah, were there marshals on the course for this league of yours that you started?
No, there weren't any marshals. There was a starter, but he never announced our names. I was kind of disappointed. I was hoping for the big announcement like we do on our golf outing.
Yeah,
I know.
John Boy, you get out at all this week? You play any this week?
Hey, hold on. I might have, but hold on. The boys in the truck are telling me that it's time to move on. It's time.
Where are we going?
I don't know. Hold on. They're saying ask Smeef to zip up his jacket just a little bit more. We don't want to see the neckline, and that it's time. All they're saying is it's time. I don't know what does time mean. It's time.
Oh, it means it's time to go inside the ropes.
Asking though, however, and welcome to all of our viewers and listeners around the world. You were asking if I got out this week. I did. Actually had a practice round out at Harbor Shore, so I got firsthand look at what the course is shaping up to be for the coming up here in less than 3 weeks. Can you believe that? Less than 3 weeks. I do want to say to all of our whole 9 marshals that, of course, are listening right now, I hope they're taking this serious. I mean, like, I hope they're getting their head game where it needs to be, and I hope they're getting focused, because I was out on that course, and it is tough. It looks great. It's beautiful. It's an amazing shape. But, yeah, when you come out there to hole 7, 8, and especially number 9, sets a whole different tone. This isn't your grandpa's golf course anymore when you come out there.
Yeah. How'd the course look, though? In good shape?
No, seriously, it looked amazing. I think I mentioned an episode or two ago how the course is already popping in like mid-April, popping like with the colors, and I think that might have something to do with the fact that everything else looked pretty gray. But no, the course looked phenomenal. It was in great shape. Everything looks like it's ready to go. Bottom line, looks like it's ready to go. I think they are hoping and expecting that maybe some of the heather areas, like the 3rd and 4th cuts, might grow out a little bit over the next 2 or 3 weeks. But other than that, it looked great. And it was my first time. I think I've mentioned before about how walking around or driving by and you're seeing the crew kind of cutting some things down. It's my first time actually playing it that way. And yeah, the sight lines were amazing. Like, standing around these different greens and looking over your shoulder and seeing waterways that you didn't notice were there before was really cool. And it was awesome. So
I'm surprised they let people on the course this close to a major tournament.
I know.
3
weeks.
Here's
what I will say.
Grandstands up now. All the grandstands and everything are up.
All the grandstands. Yeah. They're all up, but they're not all finished.
Okay.
So you could tell that they were still finishing that stuff out. And to Smith's question about surprised to let the public hacks out there, here's a couple things I observed. On the tee box area around the clubhouse, they've got this gigantic not tee box, the practice range area. They've got this gigantic practice tee spot that's completely roped off. You can't go there. It's all grass, and there's not one divot in that thing. It looks amazing. So they have the common folk go forward, and they are only allowed to hit off mats. So everybody's hitting off a mat in the practice area. Number 2, nobody on the championship tees. Bottom line. So when we played around, even the championship tee markers, they were pushed forward a little bit. So nobody's hitting off of the championship tees. Now we might have snuck up to the top of hole number 9. Just saying, just for a view.
It's a little peaky.
just a little peeky, but no, I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, they're keeping where the pros are going to be in pristine shape.
Nice.
So that's what I got. That's my report from the course. It was fantastic.
Nice.
That's great. I love it.
What other
I'm glad
prep?
you were able to get out.
What other prep is coming up here for the tournament? We got the banner on order, or the banners arrived, right? Ready to go.
Banners arrived. I think I just sent you guys a pic.
Yep, looking
What do you
good.
think? It looks good hung up, huh?
Looks good.
What about the
It
patches, Smeef?
Patches are on order. I think they're going to be here on the 10th. So hopefully, maybe by episode 6 or 7, we'll get a advanced sneak peek at what those look like. So yeah, they should be heading out soon.
I want to point out that you did say that they were on order at the same time that the banner was on order, and the banner came in, and the patches didn't.
I did free shipping, and the patches take I'm gonna. It's a little bit more quality, a little bit more stitching involved in the patches, a little bit more high end. But
yeah, there's either some old ladies or some child labor in China stitching those patches together
somewhere. Yeah.
Oh my God! Yes, that's what's going on. I think did I tell you guys I just binge watched the 12 episodes of the Marshall Diaries?
Very nice.
You're keeping our ratings alive, John. You're like our
number
John,
one. Hopefully you watch them from your personal account as well, because then that would actually count like as a view, I think. So
oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, tell all the listeners, don't forget to go out and check out the Marshall Diaries channel page on YouTube and take a look at all the old Marshall Diaries videos. But I did a couple questions and observations came to mind. Do you guys remember Sean Connery when he was here working with us?
Larry.
Vaguely.
Yeah, no, I stay in touch with him. No joke.
Really?
Yeah.
Wasn't that Aaron's uncle?
No, that's Tom. Tom is going to be marshalling with us. Yeah. No,
Shout
Larry.
Out to Tom.
Larry Adrano.
Why did we call him Sean Connery?
Because he looks like Sean Connery. Like he looked just like Sean Connery. He didn't have an accent, but he looked like him. He was a great guy.
Wish I could pull up the picture of him from he made it in Marshall Diaries #2. Marshall Diaries #2. Sean Connery's in there. So go and watch Marshall Diaries #2 and you'll see what we're talking about.
As a matter of fact, I was texting him last week because he was asking for something for work. Yeah. And so I passed him off an inside pass and asked him if he was going to marshal. He's like, no, but I want to try to make it up there at least for one day. So I told him he's got an open invitation to the shack.
Fantastic. That'd be awesome. Another observation was just some programming and editing things. I really like, after watching them all, the outtakes with Smeef here on episode 4, that was outstanding. Like, not only did we laugh out loud, and he was fantastic, but I love the concept. We need to have at least one of the episodes this year have some outtakes.
Yeah. Everyone needs to contribute an outtake, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Come up with your own creative outtake. Yeah, maybe we can get some themes out to the fellow marshals to be on the lookout for thinking about this kind of idea. So yeah, I think so too.
I also noticed that the Marshall hand signal that has shown up in the patch, and for all of our viewers, the
M. It's an M. Yep.
It's not a gang sign. It's just a Marshall. I loved how that showed up in 2018, I think it was.
So yeah.
And so we need all of us need to be thinking about how we can drop that in a little bit more, and then
make it an appearance on the patch. Yep.
Oh, I loved how it's on the patch. Thank you. It's fantastic.
Very much.
And then another thing, this again programming note, because all the videos are great, but I love the ones where they have the commentary from like celebrities around the world giving these reviews. What was it, John Daly saying something like, I'm so confused by this. It's a great movie, but I'm so confused, or whatever it was.
I think we had Rocco. I think Rocco did one of them.
Yeah,
Rocco, John Daly. There was a few of them in there, and then the other one, just similar to the outtakes, we need to have one more one of the episodes this year needs to have the intro. So I was looking back. I think it might have been episode 3, where it was like, here's Steiny and here's Smeef and here's Billy and here's all this, whatever. You got to have have that in.
Maybe it's a
hero
spotlight. Either one episode where you spotlight everyone, or we kind of have to weave everyone into the various episodes that we do, and you work them in.
I think you might work them in. There's going to be so many this year.
Yeah.
It could be like a Marvel where everyone has their own episode, though.
We'll see if everyone makes the cut. Maybe not everyone's going to make the cut either. We'll have to evaluate still.
Here's the thing: there's a difference between the 4 episodes during the championship and what might follow as add-ons. Kind of like Disney Channel with the Star Wars thing or whatever. There's like 25,000 different episodes of Star Wars, but the movies were the real deal.
If I recall, though, there's some good outtakes out there and some extra footage that I've never seen on film yet.
Yeah, I think there's.
I know there's some things that we'll just keep between us.
Maybe we need to have them play at the Marshal Shack while we're.
Some footage that just is more for the marshals, not for the public.
Yeah, that's fair. That's what a few drinks and some stogies will do.
I know. I need to get. Speaking of drinks and stogies, maybe think about the fire pit. Need to get you guys over here so we can scope things out. The lay of the land for the band night. Like, where's the band gonna go? How we want to set things up inside and outside. So yeah, need you guys' help.
We had a band practice on Tuesday. We got this. We're working on the set list right now. So
are they fired up?
Oh yeah, they actually are. We got a new lead guitar player who's really good, and so he's going to be joining us. We just wanted to kind of get things kind of run by him so he understands what we're playing. But if you guys have any requests, shoot them over. We'll see if we can work them into the set list.
Nice custom play set. I like that. Custom set.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So one last thing before we move on to our special guest today, which we'll get to in a second. I do have my mystery jacket of the episode on, and I'm going to turn the camera down here. What are we looking at here, fellas? What do we think?
That's 2020.
This is the
one that never happened
year, right? The canceled year.
That's the one that never happened, isn't it?
It is. This is the year that never happened. 2020.
Because it's white on the bottom. You're trying to trick us by not showing the white.
See?
Oh yeah.
Didn't they hand those out? The 2022. Didn't they hand a bunch of them out?
Yeah,
for everyone.
You're exactly right, Smith. Go ahead, tell that story. So what happened? How did we get?
I think it was one of those days. 2022 it was super cold out. Actually, right? It was really crappy weather and cold out, which has been rare, right? We've had decent weather. And folks, someone came around on a golf cart, just handing out a bunch of those jackets to try to help keep people stay warm. I think they had triple X is all I had. When they got to our hole, that's all they had. But handed them out and at least got them distributed to the people.
Yeah, so I got one. I still have one in my closet, an XL. Did you guys both get one? I think I might have one for you, Smeef.
No, I think I have one. I think I got one too.
I had like a double XL or something. I don't even know what I did with it.
It was the sizing was funky,
huge.
Right?
It was massive. Yeah, it was the only one they had, but it works.
I hate to say this, but I think hole 7, 8, 9. We were maybe the last ones to get the product over there, so we maybe got left with whatever they had, but it worked.
Awesome. Hey, any Smeef peeps out there for the?
Man, a couple quick ones. I won't share my screen, but I'll tell you. So Sunday Red is out. We've talked about this a couple times now. Sunday Red. This is Tiger Woods' new line with TaylorMade, right? It's out. May 1st, product became available. Here's, just some thought starters for you. Polo shirts, $120. Shorts, $135. Pants, $165. Hoodies, $200. T-shirts are $70 to $90.
T-shirts, $70, $90.
A ball cap will run you about $40 to $50. So there's some decent looking stuff. Don't get me wrong. I don't know about a $70 t-shirt, but maybe a hat for $40 I could probably be persuaded into. But go check it out. It is some good looking gear for sure.
Nice.
Well, I think all of our fans, or I shouldn't say fans, probably have viewers and listeners, but I don't know necessarily fans, but they all are probably loving the Sunday Reds because it started here on Inside the Ropes at episode 1.
Man,
Tiger owes us big time, doesn't he?
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, hey, I guess if we got a minute, let me give you my actual picks real quick here.
Okay. Yeah, we got a minute. I've got our special guest in the green room.
Yeah. So here you go. Right. This is the site. So logo t-shirt, $70. Good looking.
Sold
out, but decent looking sweater or t-shirt. Loving this green hat. So if I had to pick a hat, love this one, 50. Wow. But everything's sold out, which is tough.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Training day hoodie. Picked this brown one, looks pretty solid. 135, not too bad for like something like that. Mm-hmm. This one, nice looking sweatshirt. So 120 green. He's got a lot of green going on, but it looks good. So go check it out for sure. It's on my radar here. Maybe before our annual golf outing, maybe some Sunday Red will be showing up in Smith's gear.
That's awesome.
Nice.
All right. Well, look at that. Perfect timing. We've got a special guest just jumping on, a mystery special guest. And Matt, I don't know if you can see the crew here. We've got John.
Yeah, I got you now.
Aaron and Ryan. All right. Welcome to Inside the Ropes.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, this is great. By the way, it's just 3 knuckleheads hoping that a bunch of fans of the championship and the golf course will want to listen in and watch or something and pick up on some tips. So
we have a lot of questions for you, and we're gonna hopefully get some inside tips today too.
I don't know about inside tips, but excited to be here now. We're there with you.
This has got to be probably one of the top 5 podcasts that you've been on in the last couple months, right?
Number 1 for me right now.
All right, look at this. We're top on his list.
Exactly.
Hey, John, why don't you introduce who our guest is to all of our listeners here?
All right. So, by the way, Matt, we're streaming around the world, so that includes people in all time zones, including our fans. We particularly give shout outs to our fans in Newfoundland, which is on like a 30-minute kind of off like time zone thing. It's kind of goofy. So they may not hear this for another 30 minutes, but still, they very much appreciate you jumping on. So yeah, let me give a quick intro. So Matt, and by the way, do you go by Matt or Matthew?
Yeah, Matt.
All right. So Matt is the golf course superintendent for Harbor Shores Resort, and he's been working in the golf maintenance industry for almost 20 years. Upon completion of Rutgers University's turf program, Matt worked to help prepare and host, I'd like to hear about this, the 2016 U.S. Open at Oakmont. In addition to the U.S. Open, Matt hosted 5 Western Amateurs at Point of Woods in our backyard here. And in 2018, 2022, helped out with and basically set up and ran for the KitchenAid Sr PGA here at Harbor Shores. Matt is a member of the Golf Course Superintendents Association of America and working towards Class A certification, as well as the Michigan chapter of the GCSAA. Well, there's a couple things there to unpack during this conversation. Can't wait to find out more about things like the GCSAA. But Matt, thank you. Really appreciate you joining us.
Not a problem. No pressure here with this live streaming.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So Matt, Aaron, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Matt, you guys have been at it now for, I don't know, you tell us, like, how long does it take to prepare for a championship like this? And what does the crew look like as far as, the number that you've got working on it, and just preparing for this has got to be incredible. Just give us a little picture into the inner workings of preparing for a tournament like this.
Yeah, so I started here as a superintendent in November of 2021. Obviously didn't have much time going into the tournament in 22, at least in terms of growing season, to really do much other than just kind of keep the ball rolling. So for me, it really started after that tournament in 2022 and getting ready and preparing for this championship. With the staff and everything, we really started to kick things off last fall. That's when trying to get things ready and making sure we're best shape possible going into the winter. With the tournament being kind of mid to late May, every year, we don't have a ton of growing season here in Michigan leading into the tournament.
Yeah.
So we've been pretty fortunate this winter and spring getting pretty decent weather, but it's never a guarantee here in Michigan. So we usually try right after Labor Day, kind of the end of August, really start picking it up and preparing for the championship.
Yeah. It's incredible to see. I mean, John was just on the course on Wednesday, and I mean, just to, we every once in a while walk the course in the, in the fall and in the winter, and and then you see it now in bloom, and it's amazing what you guys are able to do in such a short amount of time.
It's nice to see the leaves on the trees this year. I think for the last 2018, 2020, a little bit before it was canceled, 2022, it was more after right around Mother's Day before we even had any leaves on the trees. So it's nice to see everything kind of off and going at this point. And like I said, we're in pretty good shape. Hopefully at this point, it's just kind of maintain where we're at and try to keep hopefully Mother Nature works with us, try to keep a little bit of the firmness out there on the fairways and try to continue firming up. And as long as we don't keep getting rain like we did last night, we ended up getting about 1.5 inches of rain last night. So that didn't help us out much. But if we get lucky, I think we'll be pretty good this year.
Quick follow-up on that. We were surprised John's still able to get out on the course. When do you guys shut down the course coming up on the tournament? I mean,
here the next week we'll kind of go cart path only with play, and then I'll look at my calendar, but May 15th, that Wednesday advanced week, we'll shut down the course. We'll have 4 or 5 days, kind of get everything truly dialed in, and then off and rolling from there.
Nice. So let me throw a question out there. So, I mean, tell us about a superintendent job. Probably not the normal 9 to 5 office job, but what's your day-to-day look like? What do you do?
There is no similar day-to-days. So I usually I wake up about 3:30. I like to take my time a little bit and getting in here, because once I get in here, it's off and rolling. I've got a mechanic. He usually gets in about 4 o'clock, gets everything set up, make sure all the machines are ready to go. But I try to get in about 5 o'clock, because like I said, once I get in here, it's off and going. Here this morning with the 1.5 inches of rain last night, running around on the golf course right as soon as I got in, just make sure we can mow. We kind of put all our plans together the night before, and seeing what we're able to do with 1.5 inches of rain, we were actually able to do a lot more than I was anticipating. I wasn't expecting to be able to do a whole lot, but we're still able to get out on the greens, get the approaches cut. Then at that point, it's kind of check in cart paths if there's any cart path restrictions here today. We didn't end up having any restrictions, which after 1.5 inches, I kind of expected, but I think being so dry and firm going into that rain kind of helped out a little bit. And then after that, it's just anything that comes up, everything that comes up. Usually the build for the PGA, those guys get on site around 7 a.m. So it's kind of checking in with them, seeing what they've got on tap for the day. And then checking in with our guys, making sure everything's going well. And it just snowballs from there usually.
I'm so curious to hear more about the PGA's involvement, but let's just go back to something super simple like cart path restriction.
Yeah.
Do you get a call on that?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's our decision of the maintenance department, and we go out and check the golf course before. I think the pro shop opens up around 7 o'clock. So we'll go out, check the golf course, make sure there's no standing water first of all, and then make sure there's no areas where any carts will potentially rut up. We'll put today, like, we put out additional rope and stake, just a lot of little things like that. So
protect your baby, right?
Yeah, it's our home, and that's what I tell the guys all the time. It's kind of like that Under Armour commercial back in the day. we must protect this house.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is our house to protect. So
That's great. The this weekend they're playing down in Houston at the Inspirian Invitational. I don't know if you saw it, but today's round was canceled because of weather. And I was wondering, like, what do you? Like, I'm sure you guys have to prepare for that kind of thing, right? Like, if you're going to have a downpour of rain, and like, what do you guys do to be able to make sure the course is playable as quickly as possible after that?
a lot of preparation, because you kind of have to, here, May in Michigan, like you might have 35, 40-degree days one day. And then, as you guys probably know, usually start of the tournaments, typically that cooler week where it's almost mid-spring, kind of late winter. And then usually by the weekend, it's 90+ degrees here the last couple of years. So it's kind of planning and preparing, really, and just being ready. We got squeegees on site. We make sure we get a ton of volunteers that come in and talking to their superintendents. They'll bring additional, other than just the bodies, just additional squeegees, additional blowers, and just making sure we're ready to go. Have pumps. I'll usually contact one of the local rental branches just to make sure they have pumps on site that we could borrow if needed. Making sure our chemical reps have supplies and stuff on site that in case we need to pull the trigger on something or any type of disease outbreak, just making sure everything's covered. Crossing our T's and dotting our I's.
Well, you mentioned the volunteers. That was something John and I were talking about earlier today. We didn't realize that there were so many volunteers that end up going directly to the maintenance crew for this tournament.
So I think in 22 we brought in about 50 volunteers. All the volunteers come from different golf courses, and for the most part they're different interns, AITs that are kind of just starting to get into the industry. And then this year we're bringing in 40 different guys. That's something my assistant's really kind of taking control of this year. Tim Capps, he's done a really good job bringing in all these volunteers, reaching out to other superintendents, seeing if they have extra guys. This year in particular, we've got a lot of guys from Chicago. So we got Shore Acres, Medina, Rich Harvest. So we got a pretty good pool of guys coming out here, and they're all guys in the industry that we don't have to train to do much. It's just kind of getting them out on the golf course, getting them familiar with the layout, because as you guys know, it's nothing like many of the other golf courses around. So
yeah, super easy to play.
Yeah.
And like four different courses in one.
Yeah. So we'll usually start like a meeting. We'll have a meeting May 19th around 2, kind of get all the volunteers out on the golf course, just so they're able to see the golf course in sunlight. Because then that next morning, that Monday morning, we'll get going about 4:30. And then they at least have an idea of how to get out to hole 1, out to hole 10, and where they need to go from there, just in the daylight without doing it in the dark, because it's far different doing it in the dark.
Tell us a little bit about during the championship, like when the final golfers finish up, and then that I don't want to call it scramble because I'm sure it's choreographed, but like the madness to, like, what goes on to get it ready for the next day? Like, what all do you guys have to do?
So typically we'll get started before the last golfers even finish. Those first couple rounds before they make the cut and they're going off of the 1 and 10 tee, we'll have to wait till the last golfers clear 15 before we can get going. But then it's kind of nice because we're not doing much mowing, opposed to a lot of the other tournaments. They're going back out and doing more greens mowing, fairway mowing. We'll just usually go out, get things cleaned up, blowing divots off fairways, getting the divots filled the night before, fixing any ball marks on the greens, just kind of getting things ready to go for us the next morning, and just making our lives a little easier. We'll try to get out on the range, but some of these guys stay out there on the range till much after we get out of here, so it makes it a little more difficult.
Yeah, especially if you have to get up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Well, not much mowing. That's interesting.
We just
get it set.
I mean, there's not much difference in what we do in a daily routine out here at Harbor Shores and what we do for the tournament. So we'll just usually single cut the greens, in 22, the PGA didn't even want us to roll. So we were just single cutting greens daily. We will do more with the additional volunteers. We'll do more hand raking the bunkers. We'll do that every day. There's a lot of things that we wouldn't be able to do without the volunteers. But in terms of day to day, it doesn't change too much out here, which is kind of the nice part and neat part with it. Harbor Shores being a public golf course is that the conditions that you see on a day-to-day basis isn't much different from what the champions come out and play with the PGA tournament.
Well, I know the other guys have questions, but I can't resist the temptation to piggyback off what you just said about the PGA's involvement. Like, how involved do they get in the preparation? Are there things that you're doing to the course that the PGA has come out and said, we want you to trim this down, we want you to do this with that bunker? These technical type questions that I know Smeef was very interested in.
Like,
so there's a couple bunkers that kind of have a native, I like to call them like eyelashes, but like the left side fairway bunker on 14, we typically kind of keep growing and more native. We'll have to mow that down. The right side of 14 there, the back side of 4. But other than that, they kind of go with what we do mowing heights. So fairways are mowed the same heights. Rough will come up a little bit, and we'll make the rough a little denser and thicker for the tournament. But in terms of trimming and everything, we kind of just do our thing and then walk the course with Kerry Haig last fall. And then he came back out here this spring and kind of would mention a few things, but there's nothing that we really changed. He kind of gives me his guidelines for the PGA, but it's all the same things that we're doing on a daily basis anyways. So it makes it a little easier not having to change much up. The PGA, they don't bring in an agronomist like some of the other tournaments. So it's just kind of working with Kerry and figuring out what he wants to do for the tournament and how he wants it set up. And they'll come out, pick the pin locations, obviously they set the tee markers, but we'll go out, cut the cups and change out the flag sticks, and that's about it.
that is cool I think you can go play basically the same conditions for the most part as what you're playing in the championship. That's very cool.
No, definitely. And it's pretty unique to what we do, and being a pub course like that, it's pretty cool.
Well, it always looks great. It always looks great. So let me throw a question at you. I mean, we're all marshals for hole 9. Multiple now we've done this, right? And we're sponsoring hole 9 technically. Yep. I mean, anything about hole 9 that you can tell us that's unique or makes hole 9 special, or I don't know, just say tips or something. Just give us a little insight on.
I don't know about any tips or anything. I don't get out here and play nearly enough to tell you how to play.
But how it's shaped or how it's cut, or
when you're back in the superintendent war room and you're talking about hole number 9, what are the things that come up? Like, oh, you got to take care of this, you got to do that, you got what comes up?
I hate to disappoint you guys. Hole 9 is probably one of my least favorite out here, just from a management standpoint. The drainage isn't as good as some of the other holes. The irrigation isn't quite. They kind of had to make some changes. Once the irrigation was installed, they changed the layout of the front portion of that fairway. So the front portion of that fairway always stays a little drier. So from a management standpoint, I'm not a huge fan of the hole 9, but I love the design of it. But and it's neat standing up there on the tee. Like, I don't think you could beat. There's not too many courses in the world that kind of offer up that type of view. Standing up there on the tee, looking back at the lake, looking forward to the tee shot. Like, it's pretty neat hole in that aspect. But just from a superintendent standpoint, going back to the war room, that's what I'm saying.
If you're looking for suggestions, I think we have maybe some layout change ideas just to maybe run by you real quick.
We do.
I'd love to hear it because I've got some ideas too, and I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on
we put our heads together here just to maybe share if you're curious. So
all right, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Can.
All right, so we're just spitballing here, Matt.
Yeah,
this is an idea. First we have to get this passed by the the Harbor Shores leadership, and then we'll talk to you about how we make this happen. But here's what we're thinking. Here's our hole number 9 tee box, and there's the pin, right?
Yep. And
you're talking about some of the drainage issues over here, correct?
I love the flag stick, by the way. I'm just going to add that in there first off.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll zoom in on that in a second with our own little hole 9 logo.
Yeah.
But we started picking up on this a while ago. The fact that, you know, where the pros are aiming for this little light blue sweet spot, about 280 yards, it's actually a little bit longer than if we were to tee off from my backyard. So we're, like I said, just spitballing here, but we think there's an opportunity, considering that this is undeveloped Harbor Shore development property, to put an alternate tee box.
I love it.
Here. All right.
Yeah.
So I guess first question would be, do you think that this land here is manageable to put it? We can just leave it natural over here, just to put a tee box in over here.
I think you don't need anything other than a tee box unless there's a few trees in your way.
Yeah.
Hey, plus you can get a cold beer at the Marshal Shack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we might have a few things to work on as far as you know, traffic control.
It adds that element of danger, though. You know.
I know. They do have a little button. They have like a little button over here that says, you know, hit this to warn the golfers. We can do the same thing over here.
Just run the conduit out that way and it'll be good.
Yeah. So
you got a little button that puts a red light up for the traffic.
Yeah.
I like it.
Watching somebody teeing off from a mile over there.
So wasn't prepared to bring this up, but you mentioned the hole 9 flag. This is our 9 logo
awesome.
This year. Pretty simple. This is Smith's design, and our little Marshall. Those 3 fingers are supposed to be an M.
I got you. Sometimes simple is the best, though. I like it.
Yeah.
So Matt, when you make it over to hole 9, and if you give us one of those symbols, we're going to be, give you a little head nod.
I will be looking out for you guys now.
Official invite to the Marshal Shack.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I've got a different suggestion. And obviously, we're not adding any other tee boxes. But one of my ideas was to turn hole 9 into a par 4 and moving the pro tee up to the yellow tee, or the kind of that forward tee box, and then kind of moving those bunkers back more, kind of tucking them in with the cart path where it cuts across the fairway there.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Because that'd be the new landing area.
Yeah. Making a little 2-shot there. And then with the angle that's kind of after that cart path crosses the fairway, it makes it a much tighter landing zone. And depending on the wind direction, most days, that's going to be a pretty tough, long approach shot from there.
Yeah.
What would that take to move bunkers like that?
Some money. You do anything, but
anything's possible as long as you got some cash.
Big equipment.
I mean, obviously, you just end up like blowing out what's there right now and then digging new.
Yeah, it'd probably just be a matter of taking that irrigation out along those sides, digging in your bunker cavity, if you will, and then putting it in your bunker and putting in some liner and call it good.
That's awesome. Guys, I don't know if you saw, but we did have a couple listener questions come in for Matt.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Aaron, I don't know if you've got the coming up on your screen, but the first question is, this is a basic question. I don't even know why I didn't think about this. What kind of grass we got going on out there? Is this a California Sansamina or the?
No, nothing too crazy. For the most part, bent grass, greens, tees, fairways. We got A1, A4 bent grass on the greens, dominant plus bent grass on the fairways and tees. Bit of POA encroachment, but nothing too crazy yet. In the rough, we've got blend. I know it's not 50-50, and it's kind of depends where you go, but a blend of Kentucky bluegrass and fine fescue. And some of the higher traffic areas, the fine fescue hasn't taken the traffic as well with the cart paths or carts. And then some of the drier areas, the Kentucky bluegrass hasn't done well. So it's somewhat of a blend, and some of the grass is kind of taking over for that.
Does Kentucky bluegrass come in later?
A little bit, yeah. Especially out here. Everything out here seems to come in a little bit later.
Right.
So quick follow up, Matt. I mean, I assume the grass at your house is looking primo as well. I mean, you got yours like tip top shape.
I wish you could see it right now. I don't even have much grass out there. My wife and I just moved into our new house back in December, and it was all kind of finished rough grade. So I got finished grade now. I haven't had a ton of time to really work on the yard too much.
What? I can't imagine why. I mean,
it's crazy because that's what everybody assumes. Like, oh, you must have the best yard in the neighborhood, and I think I'm the only one with soil. I don't have any weeds or anything either that even like make it look green right now.
So you told us your least favorite hole 9. What's your favorite hole?
It's probably a toss up between 3 and 12.
3 and 12.
Kind of different reasons. Management standpoint, I like 3. It's pretty easy. We don't have having too many irrigation issues. We never have too many drainage issues. It's a neat hole from a playability standpoint with the options that you have off the tee. Whether you're going for the green, whether you're going to lay up. And then with what we've done behind the green there and taking those trees out, definitely changes that approach shot, and just not knowing how much room you got behind to work with. And I definitely like that hole. 12, I like just from a standpoint, it reminds me a lot of Augusta, where I think if you threw some pine straw out there, it would definitely have an Augusta feel to it. And then same thing, it's pretty easy to manage. It stays in the shade most of the day. It doesn't usually get too dry up there. We took out some of the trees kind of back left of that green a few years ago, kind of opened it up, got it some more morning sunlight in there, and that green's held in, done much better here the last, I'd say, even 6 months. That's probably one of our best greens coming out of the winter. So also
the trickiest green, I think, on the course. Well, outside of 10, I mean, there's just those little undulations in there.
There's a lot of little quirks with that one. The cutting cups, you can have some fun with
it. Really make some people mad.
That's not too hard to do out here on these greens.
Matt, any crazy stories out there from some fun? You get the grounds crew and everything else out there. Any crazy stories that come up either during the championship or just regular golf?
But I guess just for this championship, one of the first days they started build, they hit one of our irrigation lines. It wasn't our fault, it wasn't their fault. The irrigation line ended up being about 3 feet off from the wire that we were tracing. So it's kind of amazing because it's that way throughout the golf course, and amazing that we don't hit any more irrigation lines, but it happened to be right behind 15 green there. And with the sandier soils and 1,000 gallons a minute pumping out of this pipe, there was a pretty good washout. So we were about a month out. It was probably early April. And we had a skid steer up there getting everything reshaped. Got everything reshaped, resodded, kind of put back together, and hopefully here in 2 or 3 weeks, nobody will know the difference.
That was behind 15, you said?
Yeah, that was the first where they're putting up the structure back there.
Yeah,
I didn't notice it. I was just out there on Wednesday.
It was one of the first stakes they drove into the ground.
Oh, jeez.
Didn't have me very optimistic about how we were going to do this spring. And it's never a good feeling just to have a skid steer that close to the green, this close to 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Man.
That's awesome. Hey, I'm going to go back to what you were just saying a question ago about cutting down some trees behind 12 and some different things that you've done. This might just be me. I'm totally nerding out on the fact that, like, I've observed how much cutting down has been going on around the course. Yeah. Is that for course maintenance reasons, like what you've described, like drainage or this or that or the other? Is it for the the golfers' enjoyment to have better sight lines for some of these water lines? Like,
So
all I know is I've seen huge transformation on the course, and I think it looks really cool.
yeah, it's a little bit of that. I mean, and most of what we've done with a lot of the tree work, none of it's, I wouldn't say none of it, I guess, but most of it's not mature trees, to where it's more just trying to get the golf course back to where I think it was intentionally designed. Having these riverbanks open so that way you can actually see the rivers, having a lot of these wetlands open so that way the public knew they were there, and then also just opening up a lot of the trail systems. And with the exception of like the work we did behind 3 green, 12, a little bit on 14, most of it's just kind of trimming down what has overgrown and kind of got started getting taken back over from Mother Nature. And then some of the mature trees that we've taken down has just been more of a playability standpoint. Getting more sunlight out to 12 green, trying to improve the playability on 12 and trying to improve the playability there on 14, kind of open up some sight lines. We took a few trees down a couple of years ago in the wetland there on 6. I don't want to say wetland. I don't know who's watching, but it's not in the wetland there. But some of the trees that were in the sight line there on 6.
Yeah.
But nothing too crazy. It's just trying to get the course back to the way I think it was originally intended to play.
Well, it looks awesome. It looks fantastic for sure. I mean, all that, like you said, some of the growth that maybe wasn't intended that you guys have cut back. It looks amazing.
Well, and it's such an amazing piece of property with the rivers running through it, with the woods, with the lake. I mean, I had a couple visitors out here over the last couple of days and just blown away with the property, the layout. I mean, it's really neat what they were able to do when they designed the golf course out here, and to know what the property looked like prior to the golf course being out here and knowing what it is now, and then to see what's on downtown, it's pretty cool to be a part of.
Yeah.
And you get to shape it and maintain it, make some of those decisions too, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Of sorts, right? Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm making a lot of the decisions. I mean, we're just trying to suggest things.
Well, you guys are doing a great job with it. I know. So we're, holy cow, 30 minutes. I know I could ask questions for another 30 minutes, but we do have one other listener question, a little off the beaten path here. But this listener is wondering whether or not, I'm sure you have seen the movie Caddyshack, and wondering, does Carl Spackler give superintendents and greenskeepers a bad name?
Maybe a little bit, but I hate to like date myself here. I haven't seen Caddyshack too much. I've caught like bits and pieces of it, but it was a little before my time.
Oh, all right. So he's showing his age.
He's really the only one that can relate. So
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So Bill Murray and his character as Carl, the superintendent at Bushwood.
Yeah.
He had some interesting methods of maintaining the course and chasing off the gophers.
I guess things have probably changed a little bit since then, but
You're not putting any TNT or dynamite in any holes to get rid of some gophers.
No, I would say the biggest thing is just trying to control their food source. I guess would be the best way to describe what we're doing out here.
the grubs and all those insects out of there.
It's interesting.
If they don't have a food source to come to, then they're not going to be anywhere near you. So no, we're not using any TNT or dynamite.
So no gophers and groundhogs or whatever. But what? How do you control the geese? Or geese.
That's a tough property to do that. Where most golf courses you only have 1 or 2 ponds, and you just keep the geese out of the couple ponds. But out here, you chase them from one hole, they just go on to the next hole, or find another spot down the river. So we have a retired employee, comes out daily, goes out in an electric cart, hopefully kind of get them used to being afraid of the golfer's cart. So he goes out with little bird bangers. So if you hear bird bangers going off, it won't be during the tournament, but if you come out here at different times, hear bird bangers going off, he gets out, tries to scare him off. I've got it's not quite 2. I've got a chocolate lab. Take him out once in the morning, kind of help deter him, and hopefully kind of encourage them not to come up on land. One of our big winter projects this year was clearing between the kayak launch out here and the Champions Bridge, kind of to the left of number 3.
Mhm.
Most of that was less aesthetically, was more to encourage the geese to go on that side of the river.
Oh, yeah.
See, there you go.
To our side, which I think so far has kind of worked, but now that these goslings are starting to hatch, we'll kind of see how it goes. But I think over the last probably 3 or 4 years, it's definitely gotten a little better. Here in a couple of weeks, we'll probably start putting out some kites around the greens. We go out with lasers, just try to shine them at them, and it kind of deters them. Just a little bit of everything. Hopefully something works.
Nice.
That's great. Well, Matt, really appreciate you spending some time with us. Like John was saying, we could ask questions all day, but you're a busy man and we don't want to take up more of your time than we have to. But again, really appreciate the insight.
I appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys, and I love what you guys are doing and promoting Harbor Shores in the championship.
Yeah, just having some fun. Well, we got to. I would, well, the invite is there for the Marshal Shack, but I know you're going to be a busy guy during the tournament. So maybe what we need to do is we'll be in touch and we'll all get together after the tournament is over and grab a beer and talk about what an amazing championship we had. And a lot of it thanks to you, Matt, for what you and your crew are doing.
I appreciate it. Appreciate the time and appreciate what you guys are doing.
Swing by hole 9. Swing by hole 9 out there.
That's right.
I'll be out there.
Good.
All right, Matt. Thank you.
Man.
See you, Matt.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Have
We'll
a good
see you,
one.
man. Thanks, brother. You guys like me? I could totally nerd out and talk with Matt for another hour and a half.
Yeah, I agree. Some good stuff too.
I know.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was great.
We're not going to get him over here during the tournament because he's going to be a busy guy, but we've got to hang out with that dude.
Busier than us? Busier than us Marshals, you think?
We're busy, but part of our busyness is social events in the evening.
Shenanigans that we.
I'm sure he doesn't have social events on his calendar.
Again. Yeah.
No.
Hey, we got the Smith Teeps in. What else are we missing here, boys, before we head out of here? Because holy cow.
Well, maybe
that
just
was a lot of
a real quick update on what's going on in the PGA Tour Champions. We've only got a couple tournaments before the.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're
the granddaddy of them all.
Get us up to speed here, Ron.
Yep. So this last week, they had the Mitsubishi Electric at TPC Sugarloaf in Atlanta, and we had Mr. Ames win it. Great win for him. He actually, on the final round, he had 2 eagles. Stephen Ames, 2 eagles on the final round. He shot a 5 under 67. He won by 4 shots and finished 14 under for the tournament. So
does it say, are either of those eagles on a par 4? Did he hole one out from the fairway?
Oh, you know what? That's a good question. I did not see that. I know one of them was on a par 5. I didn't see if he holed any out. He did finish the round. I thought this was pretty neat. So his 60th birthday was on Sunday of the round, and he finished the round, won the championship by dropping a 35-foot putt. It was pretty cool. On the PGA Tour.com, go there and you'll see the putt that he made to win the
for a 60 on his 60th.
That was on his 60th birthday. Yep, to win the tournament. Like, what a walk-off. Right?
No, what I'm saying is, but he didn't. It wasn't to shoot a 60.
No, it wasn't to shoot a 60. It was his 60th birthday. That would be a pretty incredible if it was shoot a 60. So that put him now in first place in the Charles Schwab Cup standings above Steve
I've got that
Alford.
on my notes here.
So he's got 2
2
wins.
eagles though, right? In one round.
2 eagles in one round. Yeah, great
That's some good
birthday.
golf.
present.
So for the viewers around the world, we have our notes here. Aaron's got the top money leader. So round out the top 5. What are we looking at?
Yeah, so we've got Stephen Ames, who, strangely enough, I didn't know he's a resident of Turks and Caicos, probably the only golfer from Turks and Caicos. Steve Alker, Paul Broadhurst, Ricardo Gonzalez, and Ratif Goosen, who we talked about before, the Goose, who pulled out the upset win over Alker a couple weeks ago. So yeah, they're making their way towards us. I mean, they've got one more. They're at the Inspirity Invitational, like I mentioned. That one was canceled today, so they'll only play.
Where's that at?
It's outside of Houston, just north of Houston, at Woodlands Country Club, just north of Houston. And so they're going to finish that one out. They're on a 36 hole, and Steve Alker won that one last year. Now they're going to go to the Regions Championship just outside of Birmingham, Alabama, who Stricker won last year. And then they're coming to Southwest Michigan.
Coming our way.
Yep. And
like I said, I was told I'm on the list to return to play with the pros in the Pro-Am. So hopefully I'll be able to do that and then report back on, who I was playing with and how we did.
Well, if you
Johnny, you got to,
Daddy John. I'm happy to jump in and help.
Well, John, you got to do one better than that. You got to get whoever you were playing with to join the podcast.
Yeah.
There you go.
See,
guaranteed. So we don't find out until Monday night before the Pro-Am's on Tuesday, and the way it goes down is Monday night is it's a draft party with a bunch of our customers and business partners, and what we do is it's kind of like you draw from a hat, and then whatever number you are, that is your draft number. So then it's run like the NFL draft after that. So who's ever got number 1, they're on the board first, and all the pros are listed and they get to pick. And then wherever you're at, when it's your turn, boom, you get to pick. So you don't know until that evening who you're playing with.
okay.
I think I mentioned on a previous podcast that down in Texas last year, kind of randomly, maybe 7th or 8th pick, we got David Toms. Great pick, ended up being a great guy, and we ended up winning the tournament. So you never know what could happen.
Actually, yeah, David Toms is in 8th right now in the standings. He's
yeah, I'm sure as long as it still works out that I get to participate, I'll try to talk to Tom. Darren Clark is another guy who I got to play with 3 years ago, 2021, down in Southern Hills. And he's a riot, by the way. That's another whole podcast of stories about Darren Clark. But great guy. So I'll try to run into him, see if I can get either one of those guys or whoever I'm playing with this year on the podcast. It'd be awesome.
Awesome.
Really fun.
Great. All right, boys. I think we covered it all, didn't we?
Good stuff, guys.
All right. Thanks to all of our listeners and viewers around the world, including those in Newfoundland. And let's get ready to do this again soon.
All right, boys. Have a great weekend.
See you, Jen.
See you next time.
Good stuff. Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Woo-hoo, woo-hoo.